Good morning, everybody, and this is Mr. Carey back with you, and I'm going to do a little multiplication review with you. So we are first going to review the distributive property of multiplication. So this is one of the first ways that we really learned how to do multiplication. We learned it in chapter 2 of GoMath, where we had one digit and then we had to multiply it to two digits. Well, now chapter 3 gets us into two-digit to two-digit multiplication, which can be a little more tricky. But we're going to use, this is the first in a series of 4 multiplication reviews that we're going to do. So, and we're going to use the same problem too. I'm going to use 12 times 34. So that just gives us consistency, so then we can see how 12 times 34 looks 4 different ways. So the first step in distributive property is break apart your factors. Right? Remember, these are your factors. 12 is a factor, 34 is a factor. Remember our answer, which I'm going to put as a x, that is our product. So let's break apart 12. And what are some different ways? Actually, what's one way I can make 12 using my friendly numbers? Remember my 10s, 20s, 30s, 40s. That is correct. 10 plus 2. Now, I'm going to write that in blue because I'm going to combine colors and I'm going to show you how they work. So I like to use blue and green make yellow. So 10 plus 2 times, and what's another way I can make 34? Using my friendly numbers, right, 30 plus 4. Excellent. So step 2 is we're going to multiply what I like to call the front to front. Now, this is the way I like to call it just because it makes sense to me. This is my front, that's my back. That's my front, that's my back. Because when I look at the parentheses, I look at this 10 being at the front of the parentheses. All right, so we're going to multiply front to front, which is, all we're doing is 10s to 10s, right? 12 times 34, 110 times 3 10s. So that's our first step, 110 times 3 10s. So if you want to look at it, 3 times 1, and then add your 2 zeros, gives you 300. And so green and blue make yellow. We're going to do 300. Or 3 10s times 1 gives me 30 10s, which is 300. Correct. All right, our next step, and just to keep it simple, so we don't have too many arrows running around, I'm going to erase that one. So we did front to front. Now we get to do front to back. Tens to the ones. So front, wrong color. Let's make sure we use our right colors here so we don't get confused. So front to back. So that's just 10 times 4, which is 40. Correct. All right. Our next step is going to be, erase this. Our next step is going to do what I like to call back to front. Right? And you can call it back to front if you like. This is just back to front. All right, erase that. So we're just going to multiply that, and that's going to be 2 times 30, or 3 10s times 2 gives me 6 10s, which is 60. Excellent. All right, and then our last step, we are going to do ones to ones, or what I like to call back to back, just because when I look at the parentheses, that's what it makes sense to me. All right, so back to back, which is 4 times 2, 2 times 4 equals 8. Excellent. All right. Now, some of you who are in my class may realize that I skipped like a step, like I didn't do 10 times 30, bring it down 10 times 30. I could. I chose not to for this just because it's these are friendly numbers. We're trying to push our mental math capacities, so we don't have to write down 30 times 10 and do it. But for visualization's sake, I can do that on the next lesson. Now, all we have to do is just add these up. So, and a way to add these up instead of lining them up and doing it in the traditional addition way, let's just use mental math. So I have 300, let's leave that alone. I'm going to bring that down. Now, I have two of these numbers, which will add up to another friendly number, like a really nice friendly number with 2 zeros, 100. So I have 60 plus 40 will give me 100. Bring my 8 down, and then now I know 300 plus 100 gives you 400. Add an 8, and that gives you 408. So this is the distributive property of multiplication. This is part of a Chapter 3 review that we're doing in my class. Please let me know if you have any questions. Our next video is going to be doing, and I'll write it over here because it looks kind of cool when I write it, box multiplication in my really bad handwriting. And a little preview, that's when we put our box, we put our factors, and then we multiply them to get our partial products. But I will tackle that in my next video. And for now, please comment, or if you're any of my students, just come to class the next day and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks, and I will see you next lesson.